is the visionary herpetologist that is behind Snake Pharm. Snake Pharm is a groundbreaking anti-venom research and emergency response center that's based in KwaZulu-Natal, in right here in South Africa, I want to say. And they have partnered with conservation leaders like We Wild Africa and other places and spaces, which Donald is going to tell us about. Snake Pharm is also, I think what makes them so interesting is how they are rewriting the script on snake and human coexistence, as you and I see it right now. And they are using advanced biochemicals, or whatever the term is, you'll tell us, but really interesting scientific methods, so to speak, when it comes to how they also produce antivenoms. And it's not just an antivenom for the sake of it. It really is innovative in terms of being able to bypass the long processes and creating antivenoms within an hour, which is really, really amazing. So let's expand on the work. Let's expand on the research and the science. Donald has a few minutes for you and I, and he joins me on the line. Donald, wonderful to connect with you once again. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, if the internet gets slow, I'll have to turn the video off. We are in the middle of the bush.
Yes,
so the
that's
good thing
fine.
is lots of animals. The bad thing is not very much internet.
Okay, no, that's perfectly fine. We can hear you wonderfully. Before we talk about Snake Pharm and the work that we do, and just by the way, I'd met Donald at the Tourism Investment Forum Africa that took place in KZN about two weeks ago. And we just started to speak about Snake Pharm and the wonderful work that they do. And now he's on our show. Donald, what does a herpetologist actually do?
So herpetologist is from the root word herpes, right? Like if you think of herpes sores, and that actually means creeping, right? So that's where the word comes from. So a herpetologist is someone that studies things like reptiles and amphibians. So I've been working with reptiles and amphibians since I was 6 years old, started in Durban, and then did a lot of the work that built up to this in California in the United States.
Okay, fascinating. And for people that are interested in knowing about Snake Pharm, is spelled rather with a PH, just by the way, can you perhaps talk to us about what inspired the creation of the space and the core mission, if you could elaborate on my introduction?
Sure. I grew up in Durban, so I was very well accustomed to dealing with deadly snakes. And I used to work at the old Fitzman Snake Park, which is on the Durban beachfront. And so there we did a lot of education and conservation. So we used to go to people's houses where there were snakes in their houses, very much like Snakes in the City before it was a TV show. So learned a lot about snakes, human impacts, the good side and the bad side of snakes. And that basically became a calling in getting venom for biotech research for drug discovery. So did that for about 10 years and then realized that there's actually a bigger need in the world for antivenom than for new drugs. So then dedicated the work at looking at making a new antivenom. And what we do that's special is we use snake blood instead of snake venom.
Okay.
So the way antivenom is made right now around the world is you take venom from a snake, you inject the horse for the course of a year, increase its resistance, take the horse's blood, purify that, and then give it to people. It's very time-consuming, very expensive, and at the moment, South Africa has no antivenom made in South Africa anymore. South African vaccine producers used to produce antivenom for the whole of Africa. As of last November, they don't supply any more antivenom. They're busy refurbishing their lab, with talk being it's going to take about another 9 months before they can supply doctors with antivenom. So what we do that's different is we take the blood from a snake and we purify that and we give it to patients. So instead of taking 1 year, it takes us 1 hour. And the work that we did is we tested it in California, first in healthy animals, mice, rats in the laboratory, and then in dogs that were bitten by rattlesnakes in the field with incredible success. But in America, where I lived, only 10 people die of snake bites per year out of the whole of the United States. In this area where I am, in December, 3 people died. So sub-Saharan Africa, 40,000 people die of snake bites a year. So the work is really here in Africa specifically, but more specifically here in South Africa, and more specifically to that, Northern Zululand. This is the hardest hit area for snake bites.
Okay, I'm fascinated behind the science. The science behind this really fascinates me. You don't use snake venom as per tradition. You use the blood, as you explain it. What is it about that method that makes this particular science faster than the conventional way of doing the snake venom?
So here's a thought experiment. If I said to you, here's R1,000,000, go build a banana, pick more bananas. So that's what we're doing, is we are picking resistance from nature. Whereas the traditional system is building resistance over the course of a year to harvest that. So what we do is we capitalizing on 70 million years of coevolution. What I perfected was the sustainability of it. So our logo is two American snakes. One of them is deadly, one of them is not. The non-deadly one provides the medicine for the deadly one. So it's like a permaculture approach, right? The problem is the solution. But what we can use is black mambas are very resistant to black mamba venom. So why take black mamba venom, inject a horse, build up a resistance, purify it, and then give that to a patient? We can just take the black mamba blood. And that's what we do. So instead of trying to build an antibody or build a resistance, we're just harvesting this antibody that already exists. And the process that we do is only become possible in the last 10 years. And that was through research in chickens and antibodies that chickens have. Well, I just copy pasted that onto reptiles, and we use that same procedure. So it's been known, it's just not been done. And with advancements in research and biotech, we've actually now made it exceedingly simple. When I moved from California, I moved into the bush, even further north in Shushlui than I am, to live off grid for 5 years to see if we could do this in the field without water, electricity, ambulances, police, all that stuff. And it's really easy. It's very low level technical expertise to do this, and it's very sustainable. Because if you think of anywhere in the world that you have lots of snake bites, well, you have lots of snakes, which means you have lots of medicine. And so it's a very short step between snake and medicine, whereas the traditional system, you need horses, you need venom, you need many more snakes, because snakes have less venom than they do blood, and then you need time. This system is quicker, seems to be better, seems to be safer, and excludes horses from the production process. And in research, we're always trying to eliminate suffering. So if we can take an animal out of the process, and this being horses, we already eliminated some suffering.
Oh, that is wonderful, and I love the permaculture sort of ideal in the work that you do. Okay, so let's expand on those ideas then in terms of just the coexistence of humanity with snakes. Snakes are a reality, especially in the areas that you've mentioned, where you grew up, where you move around in your work as a herpetologist, as a researcher, as a storyteller, and all of that. So let's talk about that delicate space of human beings and snakes and how they can coexist, and then how spaces like Snake Pharm then contribute to a seamless flow, if I could use that term, of how we can live with snakes at this current time.
Yes, I mean, snakes have been around a lot longer than humans. They're going nowhere, right? And a lot of people are scared of snakes, and justifiably. Like, they do kill a lot of people. Here in the bush, it's very bad, because the closest hospital is an hour and a half away from us that has medicine if they have it. And a mamba can kill in under an hour. So the likelihood of a snake biting someone and killing them here is very high. That being said, you also got spitting cobras and puff adders and other snakes here that are very, very common. The reason we are here is because lots of snake bites, lots of snakes, not lots of medical help. So the approach we have is threefold. One of it's obviously antivenom production. That's why we exist. The second is Snake Pharm, which is with the F. So we're farming snakes. So we produce snakes, because obviously we can take snakes out the wild, but more sustainable is make our own snakes. So last year we had 180 baby snakes born, released 150 of them. And the final thing we do is conservation education, which is if we can stop a snake bite, that's better than treating a bite. So we're on 24-hour standby call out to remove animals, all sorts of animals, everything from crocodiles to lizards to snakes, to stop the human-animal conflict. But we're never going to get rid of snakes. So part of it's education with people on what to do when they see a snake. Like the Zulu culture here, you see a snake, you kill it. Well, if you try and kill a snake, it's going to try and kill you, which is fair, right? And so we try and educate people. There are, I hate to use this term, but good snakes and bad snakes. Like one cobra we have, you have a forest cobra, very big, very deadly, doesn't bite people. It eats other snakes. So if you've got this big forest cobra living around, it will eat the spitting cobras and the puff adders that do bite people. So in actually having, the devil you know versus the devil you don't, it's good to have that around because it takes care of all the problems. So that's a lot of what we do is attacking these myths that people have, but also acknowledging them. Like if you think of sangomas, they use python and puff adder fat on snake bites. Well, that's exactly what we're doing, just more elegantly. So we don't want to discount the traditional knowledge or the traditional knowledge base, but some of it is misinterpreted. And there's a snake here called the Cape File snake, which the Zulu custom says it's an evil snake. You must kill it and burn down the hut that it's in because it brings lightning. The truth is it's actually a non-venomous snake that eats spitting cobras and puff adders, and it comes out during lightning storms. So they're actually killing the snake that would benefit them. So there's a lot of education here that it's hard. It's built for us to be scared of snakes. But when we have a facility here with 100 odd snakes, and just today we had a lady that saw a snake yesterday, had a panic attack. At the end of the day today, she has a snake around her neck. And there's a certain, you can shift those perceptions very, very quickly if people are in a controlled situation and understand what's going on. And a lot of the time when we do call-outs, I spend a lot of time after I catch a snake educating people. If you see a snake, you can leave it alone, leave it alone. If you see a snake and you can't leave it alone, don't kill it. Because if you start killing it, it's going to start killing you. It's fair. And then after that, it's like how you live. It makes a big difference. If there's a lot of rubbish around your house and lots of food, that brings rats, rat brings snakes, and then you have issues. Whereas if your house is nice and clean and tidy and there's not lots of food lying around, then you're less likely to see snakes. But Zulu